good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so my name is Teacher Anne. And how about you? What's your name?
I am Ross.
Okay, so it's nice to meet you, Rose. So, since this is our first lesson together, let me quickly introduce myself. So, as I have said, I am Teacher Anne. I've been teaching for 5 years already, and my hobbies include reading novels, watching movies, and writing short stories. How about you? Can you tell me more about yourself?
Hi, I'm Ross, and I am still a student. And
Mhm.
I also love cooking, and I also love eating what I have cooked.
Wow. So, what's the food that you can say it's your specialty?
It was pancakes.
Wow. Okay. So I think you really are good in cooking pancakes. Okay. So it's nice that even though you're still a student, you know already how to cook. Okay. So anyway, are you ready now for us to start with our lesson?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. So for today, we will be talking about idioms. Okay. So are you familiar what idioms are?
A little.
Okay. So what do you know about idioms?
Idioms have second meaning. It does not give the literal one.
Well, that's actually a precise answer. You're correct. Okay, so let me help you in getting the exact meaning of idioms. So I'm sharing my screen now, and as you can see, we have the meaning of idiom here. Okay, can you please read this one?
An idiom is a commonly used expression whose meaning does not relate to the literal meaning of its words.
Okay, that's right. So, as you have said, it does not relate or it does not exactly mean the literal thing. Okay, like for example, when you say break a leg, that does not mean that you really have to break a leg, right? It's like wishing someone good luck. Okay, so for today, we will be talking about business idioms, meaning to say idioms that are commonly heard and commonly used in business. Okay, so are you ready now for this lesson?
Sure.
Okay, so let's have, I have four business idioms here. So let's have this one by one. So I would like you to read what's on the slide.
Yes. Movers and shakers,
Mm,
meaning influential people, especially in a particular field.
mm.
Example, if you're looking for a tech job, you should go to CES.
I'm sorry. Okay, can you please continue?
Yes, you should go to CES in Las Vegas. All the movers and shakers in consumer electronics will be there.
And can you please read the origin of this idiom?
Sure. Origin. The term movers and shakers was coined by poem Arthur O'Shaughnessy in his 1874 poem Ode, and is commonly used to describe powerful and worldly individuals in groups and those who make great accomplishment. Movers and Shakers may also refer to Mover and Shakers, a 1985 comedy movie.
Okay, so thank you for reading that. So before we start talking about that idiom, I would ask you to repeat this word. Okay, can you please read this one?
Particular.
Okay, that's right. Okay, so that's particular. Okay, all right. How about this one? Can you please read
Consum
this?
consumer.
Yes, that's right, consumer. Okay, so have you heard already that idiom, movers and shakers?
Not yet.
Okay,
Just
so,
now.
okay, not yet. So you could also say, I haven't heard. Okay, could you please read this one?
I haven't heard of that before.
Okay, can you please repeat this word? Heard.
Heard.
Okay, that's right. So, to give a simple meaning for this idiom, it means or it refers to influential people, mostly experts of a particular field. Okay, so for example, you would like to know how to use a computer or how to operate a computer, you can go to the movers and shakers in computers. Okay, so is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's have now the second idiom. Can you please read what's on the slide?
Light a fire under someone, meaning inspire someone to work very hard. Example, when the dean threatened to expel me because of my bad grades, that lit a fire under me, and I started to study harder. Origin, referring to a time when its chimney sweeps were afraid to ascend a chimney. The fire would be lit under them in order to motivate them to climb to the top.
Okay, so that's very interesting because this idiom actually came from a literal meaning, right? Like before,
Yes.
yes, those people who clean the chimney, in order for them to be motivated to climb on the chimney, they have to be lit with fire under them. So, as you can see from literal meaning, it became an idiom, okay? And that means to inspire someone to work very hard. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So let's have the third idiom now. Okay, can you please read this one?
Against the clock,
Mm,
meaning forced to hurry to meet a deadline.
mm,
Example, we're racing against the clock to finish the ad campaign. We may have to work all night. Origin, the term comes from various sports in which the contestants do not directly compete against each other, but instead are timed individually, the winner being the one who is fastest. In figurative use dates from the
Okay, let me just go back. Okay, continue.
mid 90s,
Mm. Okay, that's actually read as 1900s. Okay.
1900s.
Okay, yes, 1900s. Okay, so let's talk this about this one. So against the clock. So the origin of this idiom is before, when there are several competitions where contestants do not compete with each other, but their goal is to be the fastest to finish something on time, okay, or earlier than the rest of their competitors. Okay, so that's where the idiom against the clock came from, which means you're forced to hurry because of a deadline. Okay. So is that great? Is that clear? Was that clear?
Yes,
Okay. So let's have now the last idiom for tonight. Okay, please read what's on the slide.
ahead of the curve,
Mm-mm,
meaning offering ideas not yet in general circulation, highly creative.
mm-mm,
Example, Indonesia has a group of young, creative mayors who are ahead of the curve in terms of urban management.
mm-mm,
Origin Original praise stems from the shape of a bell graph, which has a huge curve. If you are ahead of the curve, You're staying ahead of everything. The literal usage of the phrase also referred to flying.
Okay, so could you please read this word again? This one.
Stems.
Okay, great. That's stems. All right. So for our last idiom, it's ahead of the curve, meaning to say you're offering new ideas, something that is not yet done in the current situation, or meaning to say you are very creative. Okay, so that's what's meant by ahead of the curve. And as you can see in the origin here, so it forms or it stems from the shape of a bell graph, which means to have a huge curve, meaning you're being ahead of the curve. Okay, so is are these words, are these idioms clear to you?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to check your understanding with regards to this lesson. So for this time, or for this one, let's have a review. All right, so here is what we're going to do. So we have four sentences here, and you're going to fill in the blanks by selecting or by choosing what idiom suits the sentence. Okay, so can you please read the first uh, item on the test?
Number 1.
Okay.
We are continually looking for ways to stay ahead of the curve and provide added value to our consumers.
Okay. Yes. So the your answer is
Ahead of the curve.
okay. Thank you for repeating that. So that's right. Ahead of the curve, meaning to say they have to look for ways in order to be creative. Okay. So let's have the second item on the list.
Number 2, if we don't light a fire under that committee, they'll never do any work.
Okay, very good, Rose. So that's right. So a light under the fire. So in order to for that committee to work, you have to light under the fire. Okay, or yes, that's right. So let's have the third um, item now for the test.
A newspaper profile portrayed the man as blank on the Wall Street, a mover and shaker.
Yes, that's right. A mover and a shaker. Now, I would like to review what's the meaning of a mover and shaker. Do you remember it?
That was, they are the professionals.
Yes, sort of professionals or sort of experts with a particular field. Okay. And let's have the last one. Please read this.
Number 4. With her term paper due on Monday, she was racing against the clock to finish it.
Okay, yes, that's right. So, uh, this girl is forced to hurry because of a deadline. So that means she is racing against the clock. Okay, so let's just verify if your answers are correct. Okay, so for the next slide, okay, we'll see the answers here. So you're correct. For number one, ahead of the curve, light a fire under, a mover and a shaker, and number four, against the clock. Okay, so well, that ends our presentation or our lesson with regards to business idioms. Now, I'm going to give you some points to consider or with regards to feedback during our lesson, okay? And we're going to have a wrap up just to ensure that you will remember everything we have discussed. Okay, so one more time, can you please read all the idioms that we have discussed a while ago?
Number 1. Movers and shakers. Influential people, especially in a particular field.
Mm-mm,
Number 2. Light a fire under someone. Inspire someone to work very hard.
mm-mm,
Number 3. Against the clock. Forced to hurry to meet a deadline. Number 4. Ahead of the curve. offering ideas not yet in general circulation, highly creative.
Okay, so for this one, a while ago you said the sentence not yet, and I provided you a better version of that. So can you please read the sentence?
I haven't heard of that before.
Okay, can you please repeat this one? Heard.
Heard.
Okay, very good. And a while ago, you mentioned 1990s, but that's different. So can you please give me the correct one?
1900s.
Okay, so I think you're quite well with regards to your English skills. So just in case you will have some long pauses, like a while ago, there are some long pauses before you answer. So instead of being silent, you can say well. Okay, all right, and let's have these words here. So can you please repeat this again?
Particular.
Very good. And for the last one?
Consumer.
Very good. Okay, Rose, so that ends our lesson. And with that, I'm going to give you a lesson score of 4. That means you were able to understand the lesson and you provided correct answers to my questions. Okay, so good job, Rose. All right, so well, that ends our lesson for tonight. And thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again soon. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.